Buenos días. ¿Cómo están? Yo me llamo Julio Delgado. Estamos aquí para empezar el español 101. Voy a ser su profesor hoy. ¿Estamos bien? ¿Entienden? ¿Listo? Awesome. My name is Julio Delgado. I'm an account executive for Diamond Assets, and it's such a pleasure to be here today to be able to share a story with you. Now, I'm going to give you a quick disclaimer. I'm not going to sell anything to you today. I'm not even probably going to mention technology, but I am going to talk about a couple of really cool words that have been so important to me throughout my entire life. And I start with this picture. Now, I have to tell you, I was told I have to stay on this stage here, so if I fall off, will someone please come and get me? That'd be kind of cool. So I want you to look at this picture. I want you to look at the hand on the top. I want you to look at the hand on the bottom. That's my aunt. And I want you to look at that hand in the middle, that beautiful hand. That's the hand of my mom. We lost my mom about 1.5 years ago. So that's my mom, that's my aunt. Call it out. What do you see in this picture? Give me one word. What do you see? Call it out. Love. What else do you see? Tenderness. I love that word. What do you see? Wisdom. Beautiful word. Call it out. There's no right or wrong. Say it again. Hard work. What else do you see? Diversity. Give me one more. One more. One more word. Friendship. Kindness. So check this out. Love. What you don't see in this picture is that my aunt is 8 years younger than my mother. This picture was taken in Cuba in 2010. Wasn't that long ago. It was 15 years ago. That's what poverty looks like in the Delgado household in Cuba. Look at those hands versus my mom's hands. One is manicured, one isn't. One has a gold bangle on it, one doesn't. That picture is important to me because it's the last picture that we had taken on my last trip to Cuba. It's the last picture I have of my aunt. And one thing that it symbolized to me is how my parents got here, or should I say, why my parents came here. They didn't have a choice to come here, they had to come here. They brought us all here. Honestly, there's a part of me that hopes I would have left my 2 sisters, but that's okay. They came, they're cool, I love them. But one thing that is amazing here is that this set the tone for vision. My parents had a vision to come to this country. They saw something. And if they hadn't have seen that, then my mom's hands would have probably looked like my aunt's hands. Weathered, beaten, younger than my mom's hands. So like all Cubans, or I should say the majority of Cubans, we left Cuba, went to Miami. From Miami, we stayed there for a little while, went up to West New York, which is really in New Jersey. And then from New Jersey, we went to Washington Heights, famous for the music, right? Famous for the musical. And then from Washington Heights, we had a choice, either go back to Miami or go up to the Bronx. Now, I want you to help me out in saying this because I know we're in Denver right now, so I'm going to teach you how to say the Bronx correctly. Say duh, like duh, Bronx, Bronx, the Bronx. Say it loud, the Bronx. That's how you say the Bronx. So I'm going to tell you how I wound up in Shawshank. Think about that for a second. This is going to be a really cool story. The story I'm about to tell you about vision and mission is actually a couple of chapters of my journey. How did I go from a little kid, a little brown kid who didn't speak, write, read English, to become a deputy superintendent in a school district, to become an Apple executive, and now to be an account executive at this amazing company known as Diamond Assets? How did that happen? And how did that happen with a stop at Shawshank, which is pretty cool. So we went to the Bronx. My parents enrolled me in an Irish Catholic school. I was the only kid that looked like me in this school. No one else looked like me at the time. Now, mind you, I was young. I was 8 years old. and no one else. Everybody else was eating peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Remember Fluffernutter? Right? That's what they were eating. I was eating things like ropa vieja, right? Which is shredded flank steak, which is, you go to a restaurant right now, you're going to pay a good money for that. But when you're 8 years old and you're bringing it in a brown paper bag, which gets a nice big grease stain on the bottom and smells to high heaven on the bus, it's really not delicious and really not something good. I really wanted to have peanut butter and jelly. So I get enrolled in this school, and everything is cool. You know, in the beginning, everything seems to be okay. Except I can't read, I can't write, I can't speak the language, and everybody else can. So in this classroom, in this Irish Catholic school, so I want you to think of those, rose-colored floors, the walls. Everything is that deep, deep wood, right? Everything's kind of dark. And I'm in this class, and I'm trying to do what everybody else is doing. So in the back of the classroom, there's these rows of cubbies. That was the library, right? The classroom library. And we would have time to go to the back of that library and be able to read. Now, I couldn't read, but I could do what other kids were doing. So I would look around to see what they would do, and I'd copy it. So they had this book in their hands, and they'd look at it for a little while and flip the page. So that's what I wanted to do. So I would do that. And eventually, over time, I gravitated to a book that had a man and a monkey. A man and a monkey. Anybody know what that book is? Curious George. So I would sit in the back of the library with my book in the classroom library, and I would sit there, and I would watch what everybody else was doing. And I would just look at my book. And that would be really cool. And I'd flip, and when it was time to stop, I would stop, just like everybody else. But was I reading? No. Did I have a vision of what I wanted to do? Yes. Did I know what I was doing? No. One day, the teacher calls everybody back to their desks with our books. So I'm sitting there at my desk, and all of a sudden I realized that kids are getting called on. They stood up, had their book in their hand, and they read. Sat down, next one stood up, sat down, sat down. And my heart is coming out of my chest because I'm realizing, oh, good God, I have to do that, and I can't do that. And before you knew it, it was my turn. So what did I do? I stood up, I looked at my book, and I said something. And it wasn't English, and it wasn't Spanish. It wasn't even Spanglish, but it was something. And everybody laughed, including me, because they were laughing. But at that moment, they realized, hey, this guy can't read. We have to help him read. You all remember back in the day, this book, this reading program called SRA, kind of had all these different colors to it: yellow, purple, green, blue, orange, magenta, purple. Well, I wanted to be purple. Not because I liked purple, because if you were purple, you got to go to the big library. And the big library was really cool. The big library was so cool because somebody had built kind of like this human habitat kind of crawly space that looked like it was 2 stories tall that you could crawl into with the cushions and be able to read. It was so cool that the librarian gave you Oreos so you could take your book into one of these little tunnels, like little hamsters, and we can like snuggle up in the corner and eat our Oreos and be able to read. But you could only get there if you were the right color. And I wasn't purple. So where did I get to go? When everyone else went to the library, I got to go to this very special place known as Shawshank. Now that's my name. It wasn't called Shawshank in real life. And I didn't call it Shawshank at the time. I called it Shawshank much later on. Shawshank was a room probably a lot smaller than one of these squares. It was probably about this big here. And it had a desk and a chair and a door. And they would bring in a stack of books and put the books on the table. And I would sit on the chair. And I don't know, maybe the idea of these books would magically kind of get absorbed into my head. But I don't know what the chair was made of, but it was made of this ungodly, uncomfortable wood. It was painful. So even if I could read, I wouldn't want to read because it was horrible. So what did I do? I learned how to break out of Shawshank. So when everybody else went to the library and they closed the door and I was in my spot there, I waited a little bit, opened up the door, got out, walked around to the corner, turned and looked down the hallway, went down a little bit more, got into the library. And then I would go to where the bookcases were. And I'd sit right by the edge of the bookcase. And I would wait. And then I would watch, wondering what day would come that I could be purple. And I did this over and over and over again. Never got caught, because as soon as I realized what was going on, the class was ending, I'd do everything back in reverse again and went back to Shawshank. Until one day, I'm kneeling, sitting, standing behind one of the bookcases, and I get this horrific pain right by my ear. And then I fall. And I'm trying to get up, but the pain continues. And I realize it's Sister Patricia Walsh, the principal, grabbing me by the ear, taking me out of the library. And the librarian comes running over, and they start having a discussion, almost an argument, as to, and I shouldn't say as to, because I didn't know what they were saying at the time, but there was a debate, and they were talking loud. Then they went over to the office, and I see this argument going back and forth. This is what I found out much later on what was going on. They were literally having a tug of war. They were having an active discussion, a really incredible discussion as to what to do with him, me. Luckily, the librarian won the tug of war. She kept saying, "Give him to me, give him to me. I'll get him to read, give him to me." The principal was saying, "No, he broke the rules. He needs to be punished. Give him to me, give him to me." She won. Now, why am I telling you this story in the middle of me talking about vision and mission? This is why I'm telling, and listen carefully. The librarian had a vision for me. The principal had a vision of me. Librarian saw something that wasn't in the present. She saw something that could come. The principal saw the now, the moment. That's what she saw. You know what was amazing? Is that the librarian got me to read in like 3 or 4 months. And I became purple, and I got to go into the library all the time because she had a vision for me. I want you to think about that word for a second there. I want you to think about that phrase and how important that is. What do you have a vision for, and what do you have a vision of? And I will venture to say that the visions you have a vision for are the things that you're aspiring to have, those things that you don't have but that you see. The visions that you have of something are right now. Let me tell you how far that goes. So I'm going to bring you to another chapter. So the rest of elementary school goes by. I'm doing fine. I acclimate. I'm doing good. I'm reading, speaking, writing. I get to my adolescence, and like many kids from diverse backgrounds who come from this kind of background, I get into a little bit of, let's just say, trouble. Do you want to? He's like, oh yeah, I could see you getting into trouble. So I belong to listen to the first letter of this word. I belong to a group of friends. She knows what I'm talking about. I don't want to say the other G word, but it was a group of friends. And we did some really cool, fun, crazy, dangerous things together, but had a really fun time doing it. There were 7 of us in this group. And we had fun, we had all this stuff. And one of us, by the name of Raul, we called him Cocolo Head because in high school, he was basically bald. One of us, Raul, during a summer of our 15th year, we were 15 years old, he drowned during trying out for a football camp. And it devastated us. We didn't understand. It brought the group closer together because we suffered this amazing loss. One of our friends. How did that happen? 4 months later, Miguel, our other friend, died in a random shooting. Happened to be at the wrong place at the wrong time. He was on a corner on a Friday night. Something was going on a block down, and he was hit and died. We were devastated. So 5 of us went into an abandoned house that we used to hang out in. 5 of us walked into that house. It was the first leadership meeting I ever held at the age of 15. 5 of us walked in, not knowing what was going to come out of that place, because we were angry, we were upset, we were concerned, we were confused. We had to make a decision between door number 1 and door number 2. Door number 1 was to continue what we were doing, have fun, live in this group world, and do everything that we had continued to do. Door number 2 was to close down our group play activities and follow a different path. Enjoy the sports that we enjoyed playing. Do the things that we knew we had to do. Not necessarily go towards the immediate gratification of the moment, but delay. In that room, 5 of us literally discussed the difference in the vision between those 2 things. What would happen if we chose door number 1? If we stayed there? And what were the consequences of that? What would happen if we went through door number 2? And we talked as 15-year-olds. We didn't use the word, but we talked about it. We talked about vision. And we hinted at mission, which I'm going to tell you the definition of that in a second. So I'm going to tell you, after being in that house for a few hours, and this was basically a decrepit, falling down house, 5 kids walked into that room. You know what walked out? 2 attorneys, 2 doctors, and 1 educator. That's what walked out of that house. Because we decided we needed to go door number 2, and that we needed to respect our 2 friends who had gone. To this day, we still get together in July to pay homage to our 2 friends who, if it weren't for them, we may have still be choosing in door number 1. And I may not be standing here in front of you today. So vision is very possible. So life moves on. I go on through school, go on through college, decide that education is the thing I want to do, which is really funny because it was the thing I was the worst at when I was really young. So go figure, right? Terrible. What vision is that? And I really like the idea of helping people, so I find out that there's a thing called school psychology. Wow, I can be a psychologist and be in a school at the same time? Let's do that. I like that. So that's what I decide I want to be. So I do that for 14 years, go on. I want to be a principal, go on to be a principal. I'm leading a building. Because I'm a Latino in the Westchester County area of New York, I go for a position where there would be a school district that I wanted to work in. 3 elementary schools on one side of the track, 1 on the other, and I'm not kidding. There was a railroad track that divided 3 schools from 1. The other 3 schools had the highest scores on the 3rd grade ELA, which is the English Language Arts Assessment, had the highest income, had the better neighborhood. Hutchinson Elementary, my school, had the Title I population, had the special needs population, had the lowest median household income of this area. And I became principal of that building. What was really cool about that, in a short period of time, we took the school building that had the lowest reading scores, 71% passing on the test, and briefly got up and started to move up until we were at 92% passing. We did it with vision work, we did it with teamwork, we did it with collaboration, we did it with a lot of cool things. We were right there. We were 2nd out of 4 schools. We were like, we got this. This is awesome. I'm sorry, I just hit my mic. So that was really cool stuff. Until one day, a teacher says to me, "Hey, Mr. D, are we there yet? Are you happy? I mean, we're number 2. How cool is that?" And I said to myself, good God, what does that mean? Are we there yet? We'd been chasing a number, not chasing the learning, not chasing the understanding. So getting to the number was easy. And I realized, like a bucket of cold water over my head, that what that teacher had said to me was, did we have vision? Or did we just get there? Or are we there? And that set me on a whole new level of thinking. It changed the dynamics of what we did in the school. From that moment on, the most important word wasn't, hey, we are number 2, we are number 1, we are number 3. At that moment, the most important thing became vision. And I will tell you, wherever you work, if you're not having a conversation about vision, you're going to have a conversation as to, are we there yet? So, life continues to move on. Become principal in another building. Things are moving along pretty great. Anybody here play golf? 1, 2, a couple of people play golf. So I was playing golf at the time. It was the Tiger Woods era. You know, everybody was really excited about playing golf. Everything was cool. I thought I was pretty decent at golf. And I say to myself, you know what? I want to get to the next level. I want to be like really, really, really good. I'm going to take a golf lesson. So I sign up with a PGA professional to play golf, you know, to get a couple of lessons. So I go one day, sign up with this person, go one day, shake his hand, everything is good. And I said, hey, I want to get better. He goes, cool. Let me see what you can do. I didn't know that I was embarking right now in a golf lesson on what would be the greatest educational tutoring of my life was going to occur there. And I've spent my entire life in school, either getting better, learning, however you want to say it. So he says to me, okay, what's your favorite club? I said, 7. He goes, let me see you hit it. So I said, all right, cool. Take the ball, put it down on the floor, take my club, and I'm like, okay, I can do this. I put the club down, I'm ready to go, line it up, take my swing. I hit probably the greatest shot I had ever hit. Ball soars up in the air. It's a tremendous shot. So what do, being the crazy person I am? I finish my swing, I see the ball fly, I drop the club, look at that thing go. It's like, yeah, I don't think I need lessons. I'm good. Did you see that? I said, did you see that ball go? He goes, that was fantastic. Do it again. I'm like, this ain't nothing, essay. Put the ball down, take my stance, right? And I scull it, which means I hit the top of the ball just enough that it would just roll. Right? I'm like, whew. Sorry about that. Put the ball down, take another one, hit it, whoop, zoom, hooks, duck hooks over to the other side. Now I'm getting sweaty, my heart's pounding, I'm getting a little tight, so I put another one down, and I slice it, and I duck hook again, and I miss it. I hit the ground so hard on my next swing, I almost broke my wrist. At that point, I was literally begging, can you please help me? Can you help me play? He goes, yeah, no worries. No worries. He goes, I want you to try something. And for those of you who play the game, those of you who don't, my apologies for this analogy, but this is what happened. So he said to me, I want you to take the club in your hand, I want you to take your thumb, and I just want you to move it over just a little bit. Just move it. I'm like, what? He goes, just trust me. Just move your thumb over just a little bit. So I do that. And I try to hit the ball, and it's not going anywhere. Over and over again. He goes, go play, see what happens. I played for about a month, the worst golf I had ever played in my life. 6 weeks, 8 weeks. At this point, I'm like, I quit. I want to play backgammon. I don't want to do anything related to golf. It's over. I went back to him a couple of times, and he goes, you need to be faithful to the change you're doing. That kind of resonated with me. I said to him, Faithful. He goes, yeah, change hurts. Be faithful to the change. And at that point, I was like, is he talking about golf or is he talking about my job? Is he talking about work? Because change is the hardest thing we do at school, and change is difficult for people, especially if you don't have a vision. Then he said to me, you know, I want you to hit the ball, but I want you to really visualize where it's going. I want you to have a vision for where that ball is going to go. So even though it's uncomfortable, even though it hurts, even though it's not what you're used to, I want you to just stick to it and work through that change. I don't think I heard a lot of what he was saying at the time, because what I did was transport back to my educational setting, thinking about how that could help kids, how that could help our educational system, how when you change without a vision, you're really not changing. You're just moving things along. That was another part of this chapter, this journey, that really influenced me significantly when working with teachers, when working within systems, that when you're faced with change, you have to include that aspect of vision to it. You have to be able to see where it is you're going as you are changing. Now, I'm going to give you a quick definition of these amazing words. I want you to think for a second of what you think vision is, define it in your head, and I want you to think about mission. And I want you to think about that word and what that word means. So 5 seconds for vision. Keep it to yourself. Ready? 5 seconds. Go. What's vision to you? Okay? Now I want you to think of the word mission. 5 seconds. Go. Okay. Hold on to those definitions. I'm going to give you my quick, easy definition of mission and vision. Vision is simply stated where you want to be. It's not where you are. It's where you aspire to be. It's not here. Vision is there. For my parents, vision was where they could be, that better life that they saw, which was way over there. In the abandoned house, vision wasn't door number 1. Vision was what could be behind door number 2. What power exists behind there? What did we see as a possibility? That's vision. Mission, simply stated, are the steps you take to get there. That's it. Vision is where you want to be. Mission are the steps you take to get there. I would venture to say whether you are in a school, whether you work for American Airlines, whether you work for Carrier, whether you work for Apple, whether you work for whoever, that definition holds true. Vision is where you aspire to be. Mission are the steps you take to get there. What do you have to do to get there? And I will challenge all of you that no matter where you are, think deeply as to, do the people around you, are they sharing the vision? And are you all walking that same path to get there? Do you have that? And if you don't, that's cool, but talk about it so that you can have that shared vision. So I'll tell you a quick one here. In my long career as a K-12 administrator, I spent 34 years in K-12 education. I have found that there are 3 types of districts. And I would argue to say, although it's only recently that I joined the private sector, that the same holds true. So 3 types of school districts, 3 types of schools. There is a mission school. A mission school is a building that is super busy. They see what a building is doing in the next district, and they want to copy what they're doing. They see a curriculum in another building that's, a couple of miles away or another state away, and they're like, hey, they're having success. We want to do that. We want to copy that. We want to be as successful as they are, so we're going to do what they do. They don't get anywhere. They're busy because they don't have the vision as to where they're going. They're just staying busy. Then you have your vision districts. Your vision districts are the happiest people in the world to work with. Everything is like, yay, this is great. We want to be here. I can't wait to be on that level. I can't wait to be number 2. I can't wait to be number 1. We're going to have such a good time getting there. But here's the thing. They don't get anywhere because they talk about where they want to be, but they don't know how to get there. So that's a vision district. And then every once in a while, you come across that district or that place that's a vision mission district. That unicorn that has aligned their vision and the mission as to how to get there. That place that understands that to get there, they have to do certain things. They understand that they may start out being over there, and they take the steps to get there, but then it shifts a little bit, but they stay on course to where they're going. I have to tell you that in my current place at Diamond Assets, I'm here today because there's an alignment with the vision and the mission. I'm too old to be in a place that's vision, and I'm way too old to be in a place that's mission. But I am blessed, lucky, fortunate, whatever word you want to come up to, that the vision is aligned with the mission, or the mission is aligned with the vision, and that's where we're going. That's how we function. That's what our days are like. We all understand that. My parents understood that. They understood their vision, and they knew the steps to get there. Those 5 boys that walked into that house understood where they wanted to be and took a deep breath because they knew the hard times they were going to have to take to get there, to get to that door number 2. So, years move on. We're now at this last chapter. Well, I shouldn't say last chapter because I'm still writing a chapter now, basically. It's not that this ended. So this is an absolute truth story, and I actually have the permission of the person to tell this part of the story. So I became Deputy Superintendent of a district known as Southampton in the glorious state of New York, and a really great place called Long Island. Really, really great place. When we got there, Southampton was a vision district. Having a whole bunch of fun, but not getting anywhere. Had all the potential in the world, had good budget, had great teachers, good administrators. I mean, everything was there. They just couldn't get it over to the top. So we get there, we decide this is what we're going to do. We're going to turn this into a vision mission district. We're not only going to have fun here, but we're going to do something that's never been done before. Our vision is to create a landmark lighthouse district that is the shining example of what curriculum could be. So what did we decide to do? Almost the impossible. We decided we were going to engage, and I will describe this later if you need this, a 6-year curriculum review cycle where we were going to rewrite the curriculum, K-12, 6 units of study per content area from kindergarten to 12th grade. Massive undertaking. So we decided we were going to do this. We decided we were going to kick scripted curriculum out of the district and have the teachers write their own. We were going to bring in and hire content specialists, redo the APPR, which is the teacher observation cycle. We decided we were going to create our own curriculum based on the New York State standards and creating our own individual learning targets, including the Southampton Shinnecock tribe, which is the natural native tribe to Long Island, into our curriculum because that was native, natural, and homegrown. Unprecedented stuff. We got all excited. It took us a year of design to get this off the ground, to get ready to be even to present. Just when we thought we were ready to talk about this, we paused for another 6 months to make sure we had this right. It took massive amounts of people to get this, organized and ready to do. And when we felt we were ready to launch, we picked January, right after the Christmas break, held a great big convocation in the auditorium. And it was my job as Deputy Superintendent to present this. I had a committee of people that had been working for a year and a half on this, so we present this. And everybody's super excited because it felt different. It looked different. It was amazing to be able to do this. Everybody's clapping, people present, everything. There's excitement in the room that is like I cannot even express to you how cool it was to be part of this. And at the end of it, everybody's standing, applauding. They couldn't wait to get started. It was just amazing. We created a new leadership cycle. I mean, it was really undoing what had been done and creating something new. Well, there's a teacher in Southampton by the name of Rogue. Melissa Rogue. I kid you not, that is her name. She is a 7th grade social studies teacher. She was supposed to retire that year. The superintendent and the principal had the date circled on their calendar of the date of her retirement. She was the vice president of the union. She was from Salem, Massachusetts, and referred to herself as a witch. She had a broomstick above the door of her classroom. And she said this proudly. This isn't me characterizing her. This is what she talked about. She also referred to herself in another way too, which I cannot say in public. But anyway, Melissa Rogue, that is her real name. So as I'm shaking hands during this meeting that we're having, the energy is absolutely incredible. Here she comes walking down the center aisle of the auditorium. And she has this swag going on. So I'm going to try to do it this way. She has this swag, like she's walking down the middle aisle, like she's about to throw down. Like attitude, like massive-tude. And next to her, I'm going to refer to them as her true cronies, like right next to her. And she's about to, do battle. So she's coming down, and I see her coming down. So I walk to the edge of the stage, and I reach down, and I extend my hand, because I thought that's what she's going to do. And she kept her hands on the side. So I quickly moved my hand. I'm just looking at her. She's looking at me, and she said to me, "You're good. You're real good. Ain't going to happen. Other people have come here and tried stuff, but it ain't going to happen. You can try, and you can get people excited, but shame on you, because it ain't going to happen." So I looked down at her, and I said, "Oh, it's going to happen." I wanted to say a whole bunch more than that, but I didn't. I held it back because I really wanted to say a whole bunch of things. So that Cuban was coming out of me. I felt the heat, come on. There's a whole auditorium of people that are like literally dancing. So the day ended, day one begins, and I have it in my head that we're going to make this succeed because we have a vision, we have a mission, we have a plan, we know where we want to go with this. So I pair her up with the most hyperactive first-year bunny I have, right? Michael Rattacco, first-year kind of teacher. And I'm going to go quickly to the end because I know we're running out of a little bit of time. I'll tell you this part. Melissa Rogue has not retired yet. Southampton became published 3 different times in 3 different journals over the work that those teachers had done during this work. Our social studies scores on the regions, on the global regions exam, which is the hardest regions exam in the state of New York, went up 20% in the first year and a half. And Melissa Rogue is still working there today. When I retired in 2019, just before COVID, and they were having a retirement party for all of us who were retiring, same convocation, same celebration, same kind of feeling. I'm up on stage. You know, everybody's really happy, retirement and stuff like that. We're killing it. They're absolutely killing it. Who's coming down the stage but Melissa Rogue? This time she had a larger group of people with her. She walked up the stage, came over to where I was, went over to the microphone and said the following in front of the entire congregation of schools. She said, look, a couple of years ago I said that this would never happen. A couple of years ago I said that there was no way this was going to happen, that this would only happen if pigs could fly, that this would happen. But all of us, we had vision. We followed the vision, and look where we are today. We did the impossible. We did it. We actually did what people said we couldn't do, and because of that, we have something for everybody who worked on this. She said, I said that we couldn't make pigs fly, and we did. And she gave me what became known as Charlie. My daughter nicknamed him, and that's what he's forever going to be known for. She said we made pigs fly. We didn't do anything other than believe in the vision. We didn't do anything other than understand that change hurts, but when change hurts, you stay faithful to the change and you move forward. We didn't do anything other than believe that the steps to get to where we want to go are sometimes going to be difficult, but if you're faithful to that change, you can do the impossible. You can do things that you thought you couldn't do. You can do things that people said you couldn't do. So I held to my promise. I didn't sell you anything. I just told you a story of how a little brown kid went from not being able to read or write in English or speak it very well to becoming a deputy superintendent, to becoming an executive of Apple, and now being an account executive at Diamond Assets. I showed you the picture of my mom and my aunt and the vision that it took to get here. It's all about vision before you do anything else. So before you buy anything or do anything, have it in your head as to where you want to be. Because that's where it begins. It doesn't begin anywhere else other than that vision that you have as to where you want to be. And I'm going to leave you with this thought. And there's a lot more I could say, and there are a lot more chapters and a lot more detail. I'd be more than happy to share that with you at any time. But what I'm going to extend to you is an invitation to go upstairs to where we are, so you can hear what a company, Diamond Assets, when they line their vision and mission, what that looks like and what that results in and what that could mean for other people, but what it means to us, because if we don't have it right, then we won't have it right for you. And I really completely and totally and honorably and humbly thank you so much for listening to my story, because my story is all about that vision and mission. So thank you very much. Have a great day. I hope you guys join us upstairs to hear the rest of the story later on. Okay? Thank you all.